Good evening. Breaking news from Borno State, where Nigerian military forces have just made a major recovery in the fight against terrorism. Troops of Operation Hadin Kai recovered a surveillance drone and various weapons after engaging suspected ISWAP terrorists in a fierce encounter yesterday. This development represents another chapter in the ongoing battle against insurgency that has plagued northeastern Nigeria for over a decade. The incident unfolded around 11:30 in the morning on December 30th in the Pridang General Area of Borno State. Troops deployed at Forward Operating Base Izge were conducting a fighting patrol alongside volunteer forces when they encountered an unknown number of terrorists. Military sources indicate these insurgents were on a surveillance mission and were preparing to deploy an ultralight drone to monitor troop movements and track the activities of local residents in the area. The soldiers engaged the terrorists with what military officials described as overwhelming firepower, forcing the militants to abandon their drone and flee in complete disarray. During the thorough search that followed, troops recovered the complete drone along with all its accessories. This recovery highlights a troubling evolution in terrorist tactics across the Lake Chad Basin region. The use of drones by groups like ISWAP and Boko Haram has transformed the conflict landscape in ways that were unimaginable just a few years ago. These unmanned area vehicles provide insurgents with capabilities that were once exclusive to government security forces. They can conduct reconnaissance, gather intelligence on military positions, plan attacks with precision, and even deliver explosive payloads directly onto targets. The sophistication of these operations mirrors tactics being used in major conflict zones around the world, demonstrating that terrorist organizations in Nigeria are adapting and evolving their methods. Security analysts have been raising concerns about drone usage by these groups throughout the year. Earlier in the year, the military confirmed that Boko Haram and ISWAP were deploying armed drones similar to those used in conflicts in Israel and Ukraine. These drones have been used to launch coordinated attacks on military bases, with some incidents involving multiple drones carrying locally made grenades. The ability of these groups to acquire, modify, and deploy such technology raises serious questions about their supply chains and sources of technical expertise. Where are these drones coming from, and who is providing the knowledge needed to weaponize them effectively? The December 30th operation in Borno was not an isolated success for Nigerian forces. In related operations during the same period, troops achieved additional victories against terrorist elements. On December 29th, soldiers from the 26th Task Force Brigade, working together with Civilian Joint Task Force and local hunters, engaged Boko Haram and ISWAP along the Tokumbere and Lagara axes. That encounter resulted in 2 insurgents being killed and the recovery of 1 AK-47 rifle with a loaded magazine. Another operation on December 28th saw troops of the 151st Task Force Battalion ambush terrorists at Ladanta in Bama local government area, killing 1 insurgent in what commanders described as a flawlessly executed operation. Perhaps equally significant was the arrest of a suspected logistics supplier to these terrorist organizations. 38-year-old Makinta Bukar was intercepted by troops of the 5th Brigade working with the Civilian Joint Task Force in Damasak on December 28th. He was allegedly attempting to smuggle items including phones, a power bank, a solar panel, and food supplies through the Walada international border. Military officials believe these supplies were destined for terrorist camps. Operations like this are crucial because they cut off the lifeline that keeps these insurgent groups functioning. Without steady supplies of food, communication equipment, and other essentials, their ability to sustain operations becomes significantly compromised. The human cost of this conflict cannot be overstated. National Human Rights Commission data shows that at least 2,266 people were killed by bandits or insurgents during the first half of this year alone. That number already surpassed the total deaths for the entire previous year, underscoring how the security situation has deteriorated. Boko Haram and ISWAP have launched daily attacks on both civilians and security forces, particularly in Yobe and Borno states. The humanitarian emergency created by this violence has left more than 7.8 million people requiring urgent assistance, with women and children making up roughly 80% of those affected. If you are finding this report informative and want to stay updated on the latest developments from across Nigeria and beyond, please take a moment to subscribe to our channel. Your subscription helps us continue bringing you accurate, timely news coverage on the issues that matter most. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss an important update. The technological advancement demonstrated by these terrorist groups is particularly concerning for Nigeria's security architecture. When insurgents can deploy drones for surveillance and attacks, it changes the entire calculus of military operations. Traditional radar systems struggle to detect these small, low-flying aircraft. The Nigerian military has begun acquiring counter-drone systems, including equipment like the Lithuanian-made Sky Wiper that can intercept drone control signals and force them to crash or return to their launch point. Some regions in the Lake Chad Basin have even prohibited civilian drone usage entirely due to security implications. But technology alone will not win this fight. Military leaders and security experts consistently emphasize that defeating these insurgent groups requires addressing root causes and cutting off their resources. ISWAP in particular has proven adept at generating revenue through multiple streams. They collect taxes from local populations in areas under their control, with farmers reportedly paying around 10,000 naira per hectare. The group has allegedly tapped into cryptocurrency markets and earns substantial income from black market operations. This financial independence allows them to acquire weapons, recruit fighters, and sustain their campaign of violence. Community cooperation remains essential to counter-terrorism success. When local residents share intelligence about suspicious activities and movements, it enables security forces to act preemptively. The December 30th drone recovery demonstrates how patrol operations backed by good intelligence can disrupt terrorist plans before they materialize into attacks. Every piece of equipment seized, every weapons cache discovered, and every logistics supplier arrested weakens these organizations incrementally. Looking ahead, Nigeria faces significant challenges in its northeastern region. More than 2 million people remain displaced by the violence that has raged since Boko Haram launched their insurgency back in 2009. The military is stretched thin, deployed across 2/3 of the country's states as various armed groups expand their areas of operation. Regional cooperation through bodies like the Multinational Joint Task Force has been compromised by political instability in neighboring countries, creating operational gaps that terrorists exploit. Yet there are reasons for cautious optimism. Operations like the one on December 30th show that Nigerian forces are adapting to evolving threats. The recovery of this surveillance drone before it could be deployed represents lives potentially saved and attacks prevented. As we close out this year and look towards what comes next, each success in the field brings hope that sustained pressure on these terrorist organizations will eventually break their capacity to threaten innocent lives. Thank you for watching, and remember to stay connected with us for more updates by subscribing to the channel if you have not already done so.